Our next guest, what an honor and pleasure to have him on. Two-time heavyweight boxing champion, just a legend, a living legend. We welcome in George Foreman to the Odd Couple. George, how are you?
What's up?
Life is good. I'm having a wonderful time.
It is great to talk with you.
Yeah, all I want to say, George, is that grill. Come on, man. How'd you ever give that grill up? That was the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, the grill was something, but, you know, you sell one, you sell two, and somebody say, I'll buy them all. What can you say? But, okay, they're for sale.
I hear you on that.
I had two of them. I had two.
George, we all, Rob and I were at the big fight on Saturday night, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And one of the fun things, to be honest, during the fight was seeing you tweet and stuff. And one of the things you tweeted was that Spence was learning never to box a boxer. You got to fight them. Don't wait for an opening. Just throw the punches. Did you feel like, what did you feel Spence did wrong? Kind of elaborate on what you mean, because it looked like he was just getting beaten in every which way. But tell us what you meant that he should have been doing.
Well, he's a fine boxer himself, but his main strength is his punching power. And the other guy he's like a grown man. He's been practicing that boxing and punching for so long. You can't box those kind of guys. You got to go out there and do a crude style of fighting. Never landing hard shots. You're not going to get them with a good shot. They get out of the way and just win every round by points. Spence could have done that, but his corner was not aware of that. They just sent him out trying to do what he was already doing wrong, and he just got caught up. A nice young fighter. I think he still has a good future. He just got beat at something that he doesn't do well.
George, quickly, Rob, if you don't mind me following up. I saw you did say to that point that you think he could come back and get Crawford in the rematch. To me, I thought it was such a demolition by Crawford that the second fight might even be worse, but you think he can get him in a rematch?
No doubt about it. And that was a counterpuncher that got the greatest boxer of all time. Max Mellon beat Joe Louis up in the same fashion. I mean, It was like that's the end of Joe Louis. But you go back and go to the drawing board, teach him some of the things, pick out the rounds that he did well. When he stayed close to the guy, he did well. But when he stayed out boxing, he got clocked. He could be a better one, and same with Joe Louis. He can become better, really.
George, the blood, when you're out there and you get cut and blood is everywhere on your face, how hard is that? Because as I'm watching, I'm just thinking, is blood getting in your eye? How tough is that to fight through that?
I mean, those are the times when you say, you just wish you weren't big boy so you could cry for your mother to come up and stop the fight.
I was like, wow. How tough is it to see through that?
People don't know that we all are humans, just like anyone else. Your eye gets swollen, you see blood coming down your face, you're thinking, why won't someone stop this? But the corner wipes you off and send you back out there. But that's the way everybody feels, the same as you would feel. But that Spence is a great fighter. I mean, a good fighter. He got a good jab. He just couldn't get his combination going on a counterpuncher. Those counterpunches, when they get that age, especially, they will ruin your fighters. You got to keep them away. But it was for evidently they made a lot of money, so what can you say?
One thing I'm wondering, George, is, Spence, as you said, he's been a great champion. He was dominant and knocking guys out. And when you go that long without losing, and then you lose. I even think the first time he was knocked down in round 2, that's the first time in his career, probably shocked him, and he obviously never was the same the rest of the night. How tough is it mentally? You obviously went through it when you lost to Ali. How tough is it mentally when you have that first defeat after you've been so dominant? It's one thing to lose earlier in your career, but when you've been the king and you've been bullying everybody and then you finally lose. How tough is that to bounce back mentally from?
That's one of the most hard thing a boxer can go through, especially an undefeated fighter. You can't get over it. I mean, you wake up in the night fighting it in a dream. You think, I got this thing won, and you keep losing, you go home, you face your friends. You face your family, you just don't feel like you the man anymore. It can really wipe a guy out. He's got to have the right people counseling him through that period. It hurts. It hurts. Really, it hurts.
George, we got to see. Now, I covered your fight against Michael Moore. I was sitting there. I watched that, the big knockout of Michael Moore. But I wanted to ask you about your movie, Big George Foreman, which came out this year, and just how happy were you with the portrayal of yourself? You know, sometimes people watch a movie and it's like, that's not me, or you know what I mean, or it feels better than it really was. How was that? How was your portrayal in this?
Yeah, it was a good Hollywood movie. You know, they took parts of my life. There were certain parts I actually stopped and cried, especially my early childhood when, man, I didn't know hope, potential, and success. Those names or words didn't even exist. And there I was seeing where I'd come from. It touched me. The movie was touching. It really did touch me.
Yeah, it was good. I watched it. We thought it was great. We had the director on the show to talk about it, but it was a fantastic movie. What do you want? What was your hope that people get from that? Like, obviously, it was a very great story, but what's your hope that people draw from your movie or your life?
Yeah, it's a story about you can always get up and try it again. That's what I told you about Spence. Anybody, it doesn't matter how hard you get knocked down or how flat you get knocked down to the floor. If you're willing, you can do it all again. Just don't give up in life. You can change. You don't have to be the same person everybody knows you as. You can always change, and that movie tells that story.
George, when I brought up to start the George Foreman grill, and when you think about, like, you made more money from the grill than boxing, right? Am I wrong on that?
No doubt about it. I made a lot of money with that grill, but let me tell you, I found out I had a lot more cousins than I thought I did.
I bet you did.
That money didn't last once cousin so-and-so heard about it. Whoa, boy! I went into the savings and loans business. I did more loaning than saving.
I bet you did, man. George. But let me ask you, when they came to you with that, because if I read the story correctly, like Hulk Hogan turned it down. Maybe there was another person before you. When you really signed that deal, and I don't know what the paperwork was or how much you made per grill or whatever, what did you think? Did you just say, well, I'll put my name on it? I don't know. You didn't know they were going to sell 30 million grills or whatever it was. What did you think of it when you signed that deal? Because I think it's a fascinating deal.
Well, I had become the darling of Madison Avenue. I was doing all kind of commercials, making money everywhere. So the grill, I did it. My wife used it, and she said, I don't know, and she kept trying it. I didn't care about it, but she convinced me it was good. And I did the deal so that I could get at least 16 of them to give to my aunt, my friend, and my training camp because it actually worked. I had no idea. I got a check back for it. I said, this is impossible. That thing sold over 120 million of those things.
That's crazy.
I couldn't believe that, only because it worked.
It was great to make a steak. I'm telling you, when I was in college, I used it all the time. It really did work. Chris, you had one, right? Everybody had one.
We definitely had one.
Yeah, I had no idea that kind of success was going to follow that grill. No way. I just wanted it because I needed some way to get my proteins and ease the grease away from it. That's why I did it. And that thing, it just changed everything. And it was a joint venture, so it was actually my grill. And so I worked and promoted it and did TV shows and pushed it. I did more publicity for that grill than I did for boxing.
George, everybody, remembers, of course, your fight with Muhammad Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle. And in the movie, you know, it shows how you went to meet him and you apologized to him because you said you had hated him and you were so angry with him at his house. First of all, tell us what that was like. And did you and Ali, you know, as you guys were older and done fighting everything, did you have much of a relationship at all?
You know, the most embarrassing thing in the world is when you, as far as I was concerned, is to hate someone and not trying to beat them as everybody. I was trying to kill that guy. and after I found religion and found my peace, he was one of the guys I really wanted to forgive me, and because he was always a lovely guy. He talked crazy and everything, but he was really a friendly guy. And we made peace, and the best friendship I had of anyone and anything was Muhammad Ali. I mean, we called, talk on the phone, visit. His children and I became even great friends. And I miss that guy to this day because he was a joker to the end.
Yeah, no, no doubt about that, and that's awesome.
Great friendship.
Yeah, that's great
awesome
that you guys were able to reconcile like that. So, George, thank you for your time.
No
Fantastic
doubt.
Stories and commentary even on the
George,
fight this weekend.
George, that punch on Michael Moore, that was lucky, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I've always been lucky like that.
All right. When I wrote my column, I said it was one lucky punch. I still remember that column. I mean, you would get beat in that fight, and then you just floored Michael Moore, and that was it. Wow.
Yeah, I must have had about 75 lucky shots like that.
All right, George.
All right,
thank
George,
you. We
thank you.
appreciate your time.